What's up, YouTube? This is Red Devilosa from Red Devilosa Reviews. This is episode 7 of WandaVision, a spoiler review. So, for those of you that haven't seen the episode, quickly before you guys try to click off to see the episode yourselves. Unfortunately, the episode is not 1 hour long. The episode was 30 minutes. So the promised episodes of these 3 episodes to be an hour long, or it was 30 minutes. So yeah, bad marketing on Disney and Marvel. But before you leave, there's a post-credit scene this time around. And just to remind you guys, there is a post-credit scene. So if you are going to go and click off to check that out, just remember that there is a post-credit scene. Now, for everybody else who have seen the episode, so this is spoilers, just to keep that in mind. And yeah, it's 4 o'clock right now. I finished the episode 30 minutes ago, and you know, I'm still trying to process exactly what I watched, and like in terms of how I actually feel about the episode. Now, the thing is, there's some good, and there's some stuff that I'm still undoubtedly asking questions about. And I'm okay with those types of questions when it comes to shows and all that. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But this is episode 7 out of 9, and we're still kind of going in a direction that I'm still not 100% sure if I'm on board with right now. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, I talked about it in my last review. I just don't think the sword subplot is interesting enough to me. I just don't have too much of an attachment with sword as an entity at the moment, and I've been feeling this for the last, basically when they came up in episode 4, and it's just that sword is just it's so weird to explain it. Sword has like all these like resources, all this intel, all this stuff that just doesn't seem to be necessarily possible with such a young organization that Sword is. I'm having a hard time with buying all of it. Now, there wasn't as much Sword in this one compared to the previous episode. This one had a little more focus on Monica Rambeau, and I've started, and I've said in my last episode, Monica is just not really cutting it for me now, and I'm really upset to say that, because like when I said it before, Tiana Paris is a perfect cast for this role. My thing about Monica Rambeau, it's not really her fault in terms of this show. I feel like Captain Marvel really botched what could happen with Monica Rambeau. Now, I've said it before in my trailer breakdown of WandaVision. I just find that, like, I'm not a massive Photon fan, like in terms of in the comics, but I know a little bit about Monica Rambeau. I know she was the second person to be named Captain Marvel. She got her own powers her own way, and she didn't call herself Captain Marvel, because as of in the comics, there is Captain Marvel, Captain Marvel, who was a guy in the comics, but if you've only seen Captain Marvel, you would not know that, but that's a different conversation. But yeah, she was named Captain Marvel because the people called her that, and she just took the name because she just thought it was cool. So she had no association with Captain Marvel. She has no association with Carol Danvers. So I'm not for the whole Auntie Carol or whatever they keep doing. And it's just that she has all this, she starts talking about all this baggage she has. And the problem is, like, we just don't know too much about Captain Marvel. Now, you can say, yeah, she was set up in Captain Marvel, but that took place in the 90s. WandaVision is, I assume it takes place around 2023, 2024, I believe. I might be wrong. Don't fact check me on that. And it's just that that's a lot of time for Monica to for us to say that we understand her as a character. Because again, she was a child in Captain Marvel, whereas here she's a full-grown adult. It's not the same thing. And it's just I'm having such a hard time buying her character. Like as I said from the previous episode, I don't understand why she's so defensive with Wanda. And it's like, and in this episode, just to kind of backtrack, so they did talk about how because Monica went through the static wall twice, this is causing like an increased radiation in her cells, which means she's probably gonna get her powers um, in this episode. Now, I guess another thing for the sword. I mean, they kept talking about this astro uh, engineer, this scientist that she kept talking about. She kept gassing it up in these previous episodes, and people kept having speculations of, is it Reed Richards? Is it Hank McCoy? Is it Talos's daughter from Captain Marvel? I mean, who cares about that? But yeah, so no, it was just some Randy. Nobody in particular. So they gassed it up for so long and nothing happened. So she gets like this like space rover, which allowed her. So she was using that to try to break through the barrier. And my thing is like, as an illustrious organization like Sword, you just don't think that they would know if one of their space rovers is missing. I just can't really buy that either. Now the thing is that could be explained in the next episode, so I might have to be a little patient on that type of assessment right now. But I'm just again not entirely sure on that part. Monica, she runs through the barrier and she starts to get these blue lights in her hands. She starts to get some blue in her eyes. Nothing really happens in terms of superpowers, but we see that she's starting to develop something. And then she gets a bunch of these like flashbacks of audio from like her mother, and then people talking to her about, all of that. And I mean, it is what it is. And she basically has like this whole inner conscience thing with Wanda. But before I get onto that, why don't we talk about the other part of the episode, which is the whole sitcom part. Now, for me, what I enjoy about the show is the sitcom aspect of the show. I just really like this unique take on, one, paying homages to these sitcoms that they have. So in this one, they were focusing on Modern Family. Wanda, as we know from the previous episode, she expanded the hexagon. According to the episode, I believe they said it expanded by 8 miles. I believe I might be wrong on that too. Don't check me on that. And so she expanded the hexagon farther so that it allowed Vision and a few other sword agents and Darcy to be engulfed into the hexagon that she has. And what I like about this episode is that it focuses on Wanda, and she's just starting to notice that she's losing control of her magic. So when she asks her twins to go with Agatha, she starts to notice that her magic is just going all over the place. Her TV is changing, her lamp, like everything in her house is literally changing back into like multiple different times and all that, and she's losing control. And Elizabeth Olsen is doing such a fantastic job. It turns out she's a massive fan of House of M, and I'm really happy to hear that as a fan of House of M myself. She's really getting down to the psychological breakdown of her magic. And now the thing is, she hasn't. Well, okay. Sorry, again, it's 4 a.m. Wanda is like going through these issues. She's like in Modern Family, it's like a mockumentary, I guess is how you explain it. It's like it's like me, it's like literally me talking to you guys in a camera, but it's not, it's like I'm talking to you, but I'm not actually physically talking to you, if that makes sense. So she was having some of those interviews when she's just talking about like how, everything's fine, and then I just don't know what's happening, and she, it's good acting on her part. Um, and we I'll come back to Agnes in a second. Vision, Vision, he finds Darcy in the circus. He quickly like taps her mind so that she goes back to her normal self. And Darcy pretty much talks about. Darcy pretty much tells Vision like everything that happened outside the world, like the whole Infinity War stuff, like how Vision died, then he came back to life, and then he died again when Wanda watched. That happened twice, and then like he also explained like how like Vision was as a being on as a member of the Avengers and all that, and they have all this stuff, and then they do that whole thing where like so my guess is that Wanda is like preventing. I guess it wasn't Wanda. Now I think about it because of the ending with Agnes, but yeah. So they were being stopped heavily by like a traffic light, by like safety crossing and all that, and yeah, they were just stuck there, and they just had that conversation about like all this. You don't really see Quicksilver in this episode, but again, we'll come back to that in a second. Um, One thing about the ad that they had, this ad was a bit weird for me because like I don't know. I guess like it's just like the topic was very strange. Like so it was kind of like an antidepressants kind of ad, but then they kind of have like the tagline where your life doesn't matter, or does it, kind of thing. And it's such a weird message to put on Disney Plus, where a bunch of uh, people of all ages will watch the show. So I just find that as a weird message, and I don't know if that sounds too PC, but that's just something that I guess kind of threw me off in terms of the ads. Because like a lot of the other ads were more like, I had some Easter eggs from other Marvel properties, or like, generic like stuff like that. So I just found that as a weird thing that they talked about. Like the thing is like, it sounds like a lot happened, but look like doing this like in live time, like I just don't feel like a lot happened, if that makes sense. And again, like I guess like for me like, because I expected this to be an hour episode, or maybe not an hour, like maybe at least 40-50 minutes, because like the Mandalorian, they were able to pick up the episode time lengths as like the later episodes go on, and I just found that as a weird thing. Now maybe that might happen for episode 8 and 9, but that's just something that I guess threw me off with this episode. But they did say earlier this week that the episode will be like 38 minutes. And we were just my brother and I, we were like joking about like, maybe it's just going to be 30 minutes and then 8 minutes of credits, and that's literally what happened. So there's that. Yeah, we can talk about. So we're towards the part where Monica is talking to Wanda. Wanda is clearly upset about Monica, constantly trying to talk her out of this reality stuff, and she gets to a point where Wanda, like she starts to talk her out of this whole stuff, this mindset that she has. Like for example, well, not example, I guess. So what she was saying is like, I've lost someone important to me. Like, so she's referring to her mother, but she says like, I know I can't bring her back. I know I don't have the ability to do that, and you just have to learn how to let things go. Now, knowing the House of M storyline, it's pretty similar to what Professor X tells Wanda in the comics. Not exactly word for word, but it's a similar through line going on. And Wanda is starting to calm down, but then all of a sudden Agnes. So if you notice in the episode, everybody else around them, like they stopped moving because Wanda is like doing magic in front of them. But then Agnes is the only person who's able to move when everybody else was frozen. So, and we've said this a bunch of times, like in the previous episodes, that happened a lot as well, where Agnes is like the only one who's like okay, where everybody else is like acting like a TV character like that. So Agnes takes Wanda to her house. She tries to get her away from Monica. And in the episode, you have Wanda going down to the basement. She's looking for her twin sons. And then all of a sudden you see Agnes, and it's like a creepy layer, I guess, if you could say that. A lot of vines everywhere, a lot of purple everywhere. And then you see Agnes, she comes out as a witch, and she reveals that she's not the only magician in the town, and she reveals that she is Agatha Harkness. And you've heard me say that name plenty of times now, so I had a feeling she was Agatha Harkness, but like I guess like in terms of the reveal, I just don't know if it was earned at this point, if that makes sense. And again, I'm still trying to process the episode in live time, so bear with me if I'm not organized in my thoughts. But yeah, I mean, they reveal she's Agatha Harkness, and then they show a montage, and then the song, like the jingle in the song is literally like, Agatha was behind it the whole time, where they show a bunch of like things that in the perspective of the show, like where like Wanda thought she was doing something, then they would show Agatha was the one who was magically doing something. And they even show like when Quicksilver was meeting Wanda for the first time in episode 5, she was like doing manipulation on Quicksilver as well to do that. Now there's still some questions, like how does she know that Fox Quicksilver is a different Pietro compared to Aaron Taylor Johnson? That still doesn't really make sense. And again, that's probably going to be explained in episodes 8 and 9, probably. But we'll have to wait and see on that part. And as I said many times at the beginning of the review, there was a post-credit scene in the episode, and I didn't really check to see if there were any other post-credit scenes in the other episodes. I might just go back and check myself, but I'm pretty sure there wasn't. They show Monica is looking through the house, and she's like trying to look through different things, and then all of a sudden she opens up the cellar doors and she sees the purple vines, the creepy layer, I guess, if you say that. And then all of a sudden you see Evan Peters saying snoopers will stay snooping or something like that. And I mean, Evan Peters, I like Evan Peters as an actor. He's just a fun guy in general. So yeah, so clearly Evan Peters is coming off of Agatha, and he is working with Agatha in a sense, but we still don't know exactly, is he meant to be the Fox, X-Men, Quicksilver, or is he a completely different entity? We will have to wait and see on that. But overall, in terms of this episode, I'm very mixed on this episode, if I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I just don't have, like, again, like the sword stuff and the Monica stuff is just not really cutting it for me. Now the thing is, like, Vision Vision is like so Vision was flying back to his house, but we never got to see where Vision is at this point at the end of the episode. So I assume that he's still going back to his house at the moment, and we also don't know what happened to her twin sons. But again, if I'm guessing the House of M storyline, I think there is a thing that they could go regarding the twin sons, which again, I'll probably save that for the next episode. And yeah, overall, very mixed on this episode, in complete honesty. But I'm still curious to know where it's going. There's 2 more episodes left before we call this a season. And yeah. So, let me know what you thought about episode 7 of WandaVision. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you find it mid? Let me know your personal thoughts. Thanks for watching. If you like reviews and opinions on movies, comics, TV shows, or video games, you can support my channel by clicking the like button, subscribe, and click the bell for notifications for future videos. I will be having a new Batman Fancast video up and running later today, so if you are interested in that, be on the lookout for that. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Peace.